So, this is another sticky topic, but it's super important that you actually hear it. So, I'm so glad that you're here. Today, we're going to talk about double standards in relation to your child and the expectations that you have for them. All right, so grab a pen and paper if you don't already have one, because I'm going to give you some really important mantras to remember, as well as just guidance and instructions for yourself to make sure that you are not inadvertently giving a double standard. Because usually we're not trying to do this or be this way, it just kind of happens and we might not even realize it. And so, a part of this YouTube channel is let's be real. Let's talk about the things that are really happening and bring awareness to it, and then figure out what we want to do with that information. For those of you who don't know me, hi, my name is Melissa. I'm a board certified behavior analyst, and I specialize in helping families go from survival mode to true happiness and peace. I do teach at the collegiate level. I am a volunteer subject matter expert for the Behavior Analyst Certification Board, and I've worked with hundreds of families. So this is really, really good, juicy content, and I'm so glad that you're here listening to it. Let's get started. Okay, so what do I mean by a double standard? So what this is like is something along the lines of you putting a rule in place or a boundary in place for your child, but then you yourself are actually not upholding that same value, standard, rule, boundary. Here's some examples. I want my child to eat healthy because their doctor told me that their blood work came back and there's some concerns. And so I'm going to make sure that they only eat healthy. They are not going to have any candy, no McDonald's, only, food that I cook at home. But then you yourself are maybe even in front of them or not in front of them, having a standard where you are allowed to eat candy and you are having McDonald's and things like that, but not your child. Now, here's the reason why this is a problem. Now, are we all allowed to have different rules that we live by and different reasons why? Yes. Let's say your blood work comes back fine. Let's say you're healthy, right? But then you're putting your child under this stringent diet, just as an example, even gluten-free or no dyes, right? But then you're not modeling these same expectations to your child, okay? That's the kicker here. Monkey see, monkey do, you heard of, or, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, stuff like that. Those terminologies all come from what our children are seeing our parents do, or our caregivers, the people that are in our environment on a daily, weekly basis, people that they're surrounded by. And you as caregivers, as their parents, are number one. You're always there. And so even if you're not eating that piece of chocolate in front of them, they might see the wrapper, or they might realize that it's no longer in the cabinet where you used to have it. So where'd it go? So throw it away in front of them. Let them know our family is going to cut back on sweets. Yes, it's, this was spearheaded because of your blood work that came back, or because, we're trying to be healthier for you, because that will help you because you're really hyper and energetic, whatever the reason, right? If you support them, then they'll feel respected. They'll feel more willing to follow your rules, right? And they'll know that you're doing it with them and that this is a challenge, right? They want to have those sweets within this example. They want to have those fun, greasy, juicy foods, but you're telling them no. So feel the pain with them and don't eat those things. Model it, okay? Another double standard, and this one's super common. And again, thank you for being here. Give yourself grace if you're like, that's me. Oh my gosh, I didn't even realize. Because that's the whole point of these YouTube videos, okay? In the comfort of your own home, listen to them and bring awareness. Okay, here's another example. If your child is like being fresh with you, right? They're yelling at you, they're snapping back, maybe even throw a curse word in there or name calling, something like that. And you're like, excuse me, you're talking to me like that? Absolutely not, right? But then Are you talking to your children like that? Are you yelling at them to do things? I hope you're not name calling, but sometimes they get thrown out there, right? But the point I'm making is whatever you're telling your children not to do, if you're doing it, it goes out the window. And that is a double standard. And it's something you want to avoid. So those were 2 examples. I'm sure there are so much more. If you have examples, please drop them in the comments. But I want you to write down these mantras, and I'm sure there are more. I would love to hear what you come up with. But here's what I came up with as far as how to limit the double standards that we are inadvertently putting out there. All right. Here's one. Mess ups are okay. Accidents, mistakes are okay. Nobody is perfect. Write that down. Nobody is perfect. Accidents and mistakes are okay. And I know you probably know this, but do you know it in your nervous system? Do you know it deep down? Or especially when you're challenged in the moment and your child actually made a mistake of something you taught them or told them 100 billion times? We gotta let it go. Okay. Therefore, another mantra is, I'm going to accept this for what it is. All right? Now, write that down. I'm going to accept this for what it is. And here's what I mean by that. Accepting is trying to see it for what it is and not attaching an emotion to it. So therefore, you see something happening and you're identifying that it has happened. I accept it. Okay? And there's so much more that we could dive into with that in relation to if you want to change it, how you change it, when, the where, all the details, right, within the behavior plan. But the point I'm making here is relating to double standards. It's about seeing it. It's about identifying it. It's about knowing that it's happening, accepting. All right? Here's one more that I want you to write down. And I tell people this all the time. Aim for about 80% of the time doing the right thing. And that's kind of a general phrase, doing the right thing. But what I mean by that is in relation to the double standards that we're talking about, right? Try at least 80% of the time. Just aim for that. 4 out of 5 opportunities, 4 times out of the day or so, to uphold the boundary or the rule that you are giving to your child. Okay? And then same thing with your child, right? You can be a little bit lax. You could be a little bit lenient, right? That's us being human. That's us being a little bit flexible and knowing that things can come up and we can make decisions. We can make choices, right? Of course, we want to be regimented with some things. We want to stick to our guns on some things. We want to be consistent. Heard. Totally agree. But we are human, so it's okay to break and bend a little bit. Flexibility is really, really important to teach. But relating to these double standards, if it's Halloween and you usually don't let your children have this kind of candy, but you're eyeing it and you really want one, I bet they are too. Why don't you guys eat a piece or 2 together? Don't worry, it's just a holiday. It's not going to make or break. It's you being human and taking a breath, letting loose, right? So those were some examples of stopping the double standards and being aware of the rules that you're giving to your children and if you are actually following them. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please show me by tapping that like button. Subscribe if you haven't already. Down below are links to my Facebook. And if you'd like to work with me and my team, we are ready and here for it.